autism. That is, in fact, going to be our dish of the day. But a bit of history for today. And in the year 1493, on this day, Christopher Columbus returned to his colony of La Navidad, finding it destroyed by the first Native American uprising against Spanish rule. In the year 1807, on this day, the Portuguese royal family and its court of nearly 15,000 people left Lisbon for the colony of Brazil to escape invading Napoleonic troops. And in 1895, on this day, Swedish chemist Alfred Nobel established the Nobel Prizes through his will, dedicating the bulk of his fortune to funding annual awards for those who have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind. And we now move on to our dish of the day.
U.S. Polo Association is celebrating 15 years in St. Lucia. Our anniversary sale is here with amazing savings for men, ladies, and kids. Shop polos, denims, dresses, shoes, and more. All at the prices you love. Celebrate with us at U.S. Polo Association, Baywalk Mall and Cash Tree stores and enjoy authentic style for the entire family. 2 stores, 1 iconic brand, and 15 years of fashion you love. The celebration starts October 15th only at U.S. Polo Association. Live authentically.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, as I said, December the 3rd, next week, Wednesday, is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. And according to the World Health Organization, disability is part of being human. And believe it or not, nearly 1.3 billion people, and in fact, nearly 1 in 5 of the global population currently experience significant disability. And according to the WHO, that number is in fact increasing, particularly because we are seeing an aging population and the increasing prevalence of non-communicable diseases. One such disability that certainly is very much more in the spotlight globally is that of autism. And right here in St. Lucia, we in fact do have an association focused on support for persons with autism. It's called HAPA. It's the Helen Association for Persons with Autism. And we, in fact, know that 2 of their members are going to be participating this today on this program with us. And we have the president, who is currently not on island, but joining us via a video link. And she is Dr. Delia Samuel, as well as Mrs. Susie Hall Fontaine, the vice president of HAPA, who's joining us here in studio. Ladies, of course, let me just make sure that we can all hear what's going on. And Delia, maybe you want to say something so we know that you can hear us.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, we can. Thanks very much.
Can you see me?
and yes, we can see you. And of course, those who are following us online can also see you on YouTube or Facebook. Welcome.
So thank you, Calix. Thank you for having me here. I was just thinking, if it's not mathematics, it's autism. That's what brings me to your show. So yes. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Indeed. And thanks for, of course, for all the work that you're doing whether from afar, and I know you're so very committed to development of your country, your homeland, St. Lucia. And of course, Susie, thanks again for, of course, coming in to do the legwork right here on Island. But Delia, let's start off with you because I think there is still, no doubt, a lot of misunderstanding of this whole concept, understanding of what autism is. And perhaps you may want to just spend some time explaining autism.
Okay. So autism is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects the brain. In other words, the brain is wired differently. And so the symptoms of autism manifest themselves in the ways of, well, different ways. So you have the way the autistics interact with people. They are different. So you find that autistic individuals have difficulty communicating, difficulty with social norms, and you find it's a spectrum, right? And Calix, that's why they call it autism spectrum disorder, although right now they give it the blanket term of autism. Why is it a spectrum? Because you have some people who are mildly, I would say, have mild differences, while others are severely autistic. So, for example, I have two autistic children. One of them is severely autistic. He is nonverbal. He is at the level of a 1 year old, but the other one is not. They may qualify him as high functioning because he's extremely intelligent. He has difficulty with social cues. So he has difficulty interacting with people, conversing with people, but he loves mathematics. He excels at mathematics. So this is what autism is. And it's, as you rightly say, it is misunderstood. As a matter of fact, Alex, there are many autistic people in St. Lucia walking around undiagnosed. I was diagnosed 4 years ago. Did you know I'm autistic?
Yes, yes, you have proudly told me that.
Yes,
And
you
you
know I'm
mentioned that
proud.
on this program previously as well. Yes, yes.
That's true. So yes, and I'm very proud. I have to tell you, I am very proud to be autistic. It just answers a lot of questions about me in growing up and the things about me that I thought were weird or people would call weird. But it's just me. It is part of who I am. So I always tell people, look at autistic people. Well, I'll say this first. Autism is not a disease. It is not an illness. It cannot be cured. You will, if somebody is autistic, it is there forever. What we need is support so that we can be the best that we can be. So autistic people do not need fixing. There's nothing wrong with them. We are just walking a different path. We are seeing the world differently.
That of course is very interesting as you're saying so, and of course the reality that so many people in society are quite likely autistic in some form. And I think to one individual who I know, and one of her children is autistic, and she was in fact pointing out that her father, who was a very accomplished professional, now deceased, and then she realized that some of the things that and behavior that she's noticing in her son, actually existed in her father. Now he was never, diagnosed, if you like, or deemed to be autistic, but she really thinks that he was. And so, speak to that though. Is there any sort of evidence in terms of genetic correlation? Is that a part of the of dealing with autism? Is it something that you can in fact inherit?
Yes, actually, research has shown that autism is basically a genetic condition. There are environmental factors driving the condition, but they're still investigating that. So let's not talk about the vaccines. We're not going to go into that. because
Yes.
that is a can of worms, but
Right.
it is incorrect. Let's not talk about Tylenol causing autism. That is not true. If you
Right.
look at the research, it is incorrect. But there are some environmental factors like weed killers. They said the chemicals in that can drive autism. And this is something that has been proven, but it is largely genetic. So if you have a parent giving birth to a twin and one is autistic, the probability that the other one is autistic is very high. If I am autistic, the probability that I will have an autistic child is also high.
I know you said you didn't want to go there, but I just, in terms of clarification though, because the vaccine thing has been quite up there. But my understanding is that it's not about cause and effect, but it's at the time when autism manifests itself. It tends to be around the same time that children are, of course, receiving vaccines. And so, therefore, people make that sort of association in their minds. But I just wanted to put that there, just on a side. But coming to you, of course, Susie, tell us a little bit about your own journey with respect to autism and how you ended up getting involved with HAPA.
Okay. Um, like Julia, I'm a mom of an autistic child. And there was one thing when she mentioned about the genetic aspect of it. Some years ago, we did a family tree. And while we were trying to find our relatives, one of the main things that we found was autism. There were quite a number of relatives with children with autism. I have a niece who has two of her sons on the autism spectrum. And we found out it was on a particular side of the family. On the other side, there was no mention of it. But lots of autistic people with on that side of the family. So there's definitely a genetic aspect to autism. And I became involved with, you're talking about involvement with HAPA, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah. So several years ago, that was probably 2014 or so, Delia and I, we were both in the US at the time, and we were talking about how fortunate we were to have a lot of these things available to us for our children, all these resources. And it was unfortunate that a lot of people in St. Lucia with autistic children did not have those resources. And we were trying to think of a way to bring those resources to St. Lucia. And that's when we came up with the St. Lucia Autism Awareness Project. And later on, it became an NGO, which is Helen Association for Autism, for persons with autism.
Now, help us understand that, because I know, of course, you're talking about resources, and certainly one of those resources has to be perhaps the educational environment or the educational system that is available for children or persons growing up with autism. Speak a little bit about that and what is really needed, maybe even in an ideal situation for persons with autism.
When it comes to autism, there's never an ideal situation. Basically, we have to do the best with what we've got. Even if you're in a developed country, you never get everything you need. So what HARPA tries to do with this organization is to promote autism awareness. So one of the things that we want to do is to get people aware of what autism is and what it is not. And how to deal with other persons in society with autism. We're trying to transform the lives of autistic individuals and their families by providing resources for them, whether it be like emotional support through our group chats and through the organization as itself, and the community, working with government to try and bring certain resources available to them. Another thing that we're trying to do is to educate those who interact with autistic people on a daily basis. So we do a number of workshops online. Sometimes we've had workshops in St. Lucia, and we put those out to the public. So we're working with teachers, we're working with caregivers, we're working with parents. So all of these things we're trying to, and we also bring other persons who are professionals into St. Lucia who can also work with these people. So we're getting there. We have a lot of work to do, getting aids for children in schools and having those trained. So this is a lot of stuff, things that we're working on getting done.
Multiple levels, multiple stakeholders, the world, the broad population out there, you've got influence. But then, of course, as you said, the people who actually are living with persons with autism. And sometimes it can be very difficult, no doubt, in terms of the emotions that parents go through, the frustrations as well, perhaps. Yeah. Maybe you want to speak a little bit about that, and you know, how parents can, you know, get to a good frame of mind to deal with children with autism.
A lot of what happens in St. Lucia, and not just in St. Lucia, around the world, some of our parents tend to hide our children. And we're trying to create an environment of understanding where we are not afraid to let people know that we are struggling with autism or that our children are autistic, so that people can be more understanding. We're trying to get society to understand that derogatory statements, or just statements like recently what happened, just these things that it's quite frustrating for me. So sometimes just talking about it, I get triggered, you know, so that people understand that just some of the words that come out of their mouths can be very hurtful for persons with autism.
And Delia, I mean, as you were also saying, though, I mean, the difference between, say, the United States or Canada and St. Lucia in terms of the levels of understanding, is it a big difference, you think, in terms of the gap of society, in terms of how well we understand autism, or is it very similar across the board?
There are similarities, but St. Lucia needs to go a long way in terms of autism acceptance. There are still so many derogatory slurs. They look at autism as something to be fixed. You are ostracized. They ostracize us. There is a lot of ableism in St. Lucia. I also find it up here in the United States. But within
break that down for us, if you don't mind. What do you mean by ableism?
ableism. Ableism, people who are ableists see autistics as being less than, and they need to ostracize them from the community because they cannot contribute. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine a community, okay, let's say St. Lucia, I'm hypothesizing. Suppose the people born in St. Lucia were not more than 5 feet tall. Just imagine that scenario. Anybody born could not be more than 5 feet tall. So therefore, the doorways were built for the 5 feet tall people or less. Cars, well, they drove cars that they were able to fit in. Okay. Later on, parents gave birth to children who were 6 feet.
Right.
5'9". What happened when they would walk through those doors? They would bump their heads. They would get headaches. Like we say in St. Lucia, they would get Z-cats. They would not be able to drive the cars. Nothing was accessible for them. They were crying out for help. What did the 5 feet people say? What did the government say? Oh, you should be 5 feet. Why you come out being 6 feet? You have to, you cannot live in this society. Instead of increasing the height of the doorways, instead of making the cars bigger, instead of giving the support that those 6 feet people would need. So this is what ableism is. Ableism means that you do not give the autistic people the support that they need to thrive. And so they feel ostracized because they do not feel like they are enough. Parents are crying, Alex. They are crying. They are already, like the question you asked Susie about what parents go through. It's like a grief process. Just imagine you have dreams for your child, right? And so as if the dreams were dashed. You go through denial. A lot of parents are going through denial. They can't believe that their child have a disability. We go through feelings of guilt and shame because others make us feel that way. We go through periods of anger because we do not get the resources and support that we need. And we question, why me? I question that a lot, Alex. Why me? Why two? And then those of us, some of us reach the acceptance stage where we accept that our children are autistic. Me, I have added another stage to the grief process, rejoicing. I actually rejoice in autism because I see the beauty in it. I see the beauty in my children. But if you lack, which is lack in St. Lucia, if there is a lack of support and resources and a lot of stigma and people are being treated like less than, it's hard to get to that acceptance stage.
And so I suppose the big question is, how do you then shift that entire society? I'm gathering, of course, there has to be a lot of education, not just at the quote unquote public education space, but even certainly at the level of the school and the curriculum in terms of, I wouldn't want to say conditioning individuals, but ensuring that individuals are understanding of the appreciation of differences and empathy. All of that needs to be worked in, I do assume, into that curriculum.
We have a lot of work to do, and it has to start with our government to provide the support. Let's start with schools. Right now, there are so many autistic individuals in St. Lucia that they have to be included in the mainstream schools because there are not enough special education schools for these children. Now, I am all for inclusion. I think that they should be included with the mainstream, but there are some children who cannot. Like my son, I cannot. That's my severely autistic one. He's 17. I cannot put him in a mainstream school. He would not thrive. So he's in a special ed school. But what I'm saying is that those in the mainstream school, they are not taught effectively. Why? Because the teachers do not know how to. The teachers need to be trained. Some of them need aids so that they can help the autistic child throughout the classroom. The parents have to pay for the aids. Can you believe that? That should be free. So there's a lot of education for the schools, for the public. We need to, as a matter of fact, my person is creating some videos on autism to educate the public on autism. So it has to be ongoing.
Indeed. Now, I think we're going to catch our breaths a little bit because we have to take a pause right now for our weather report. But we have been speaking with President and Vice President of the Helen Association for Persons with Disabilities, Dr. Delia Samuel, and Mrs. Susie Hall Fontaine. And in fact, next week is going to be the World Day for Persons with Disabilities. That's December the 3rd. And so we're going to take a little pause at this point in time to take in the weather report and then come back to speak a little bit about some of the actions that HAPA is doing, of course, in partnership with and focused on the upcoming World Day for Persons with Disabilities. We'll be right back.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
U.S. Polo Association is celebrating 15 years in St. Lucia. Our anniversary sale is here with amazing savings from men, ladies, and kids. Shop polos, denims, dresses, shoes, and more. All at the prices you love. Celebrate with us at U.S. Polo Association, Baywalk Mall and Castries stores and enjoy authentic style for the entire family. 2 stores, 1 iconic brand, and 15 years of fashion you love. The celebration starts October 15th only at U.S. Polo Association. Live authentically.
It's now time for our weather report brought to you by Island Style.
Last year, boy, problems to get shipment of tiles in time for Christmas. This year, Island Style has enough tiles in stock to cover the whole of St. Lucia. And with our Christmas sale starting now, every tile is on sale. Island Style has massive stock, the widest variety, and the very best sale prices on quality tiles. And natural stone in St. Lucia. Great deals on beautiful bathroom faucets, vanities and fixtures, tiling tools and accessories. Don't fall for no gimmicks anywhere else. Island Style's annual Christmas sale is unbeatable. Tiles for miles, deals as far as the eye can see. Start your car, ride your bike, hop on a bus, and hurry down to Island Style Town and Bath now. Castries, Rodney and Viewford. Check Facebook for more details.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. Weather partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy skies with some scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. The tropical weather outlook. An upper level trough system will cause some cloudiness, scattered showers, and possible isolated thunderstorms over the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And that is your weather report brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Last year, boy, problems to get shipment of tiles in time for Christmas. This year, Island Style has enough tiles in stock to cover the whole of St. Lucia. And with our Christmas sale starting now, every tile is on sale. Island Style has massive stock, the widest variety, and the very best sale prices on quality tiles. And natural stone in St. Lucia. Great deals on beautiful bathroom faucets, vanities and fixtures, tiling tools and accessories. Don't fall for no gimmicks anywhere else. Island Style's annual Christmas sale is unbeatable. Tiles for miles. Deals as far as the eye can see. Start your car, ride your bike, hop on a bus, and hurry down to Island Style Town and Bath now. Castries, Rodney and Viewford. Check Facebook for more details.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here on Radio Caribbean International. We've got about 14 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock, and we're speaking about autism, and it's all in the lead up to the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, December the 3rd. And we're speaking with Delia Samuel and Susie Hall Fontaine of the Helen Association for Persons with Autism, HAPA. One of the issues, of course, is even the matter of diagnosis. I'm sure there's a cost perhaps attached to that as well, maybe. How would one even know whether their child is autistic? Delia, you want to perhaps tell us how to go about doing that?
Okay, so in terms of diagnosis, CDGC, the Child Development and Guidance Center, that is one of the places where children can get diagnosed. They also get diagnosed through their own pediatrician. What are some of the signs? There are red flags that you can look for. One, if you read the literature, you would find that one of the red flags is eye contact. But I take that with a grain of salt because, I mean, some of us, we just don't like looking at people in the middle of the eyes. So I would not take that as one of them. But one of them is routine. And this is one of my symptoms. I have to have a routine. And in growing up, that was me. If my routine was broken, it's almost as if I had a meltdown. Now, you may say, well, there are so many of us who have need a routine, who are organized, and so on. But if it goes up a notch, such that if it's broken, it's almost as if you feel physical pain if it's broken. Another one is social interaction, the inability to understand social cues. So, for example, if you tell an autistic child it is raining cats and dogs, they will look outside for the cats and dogs raining from the sky. So, it's an inability to understand idioms, an inability to communicate, to have some communication with people back and forth. So, no, that's a big one. Like my son, he's nonverbal. He has never spoken and he's 17. So this is a big red flag. So there are certain these red flags, you see them in your child. Oh, here's a big one. Sensory issues. A lot of autistic people are able to use their senses to make sense of the world around them. So they are able to deal with bright lights, loud sounds, hustle and bustle. They have problems with certain textures of food, textures of clothing. And so what happens is even smells, like my one of my sons, I cannot cook food around him because he cannot deal with the smell. How do you deal with such situations that you cannot manage? And that is when you may see some behaviors that others may not be able to manage. They may hit the head. They may bang the head on the wall. They may bite you. They may scratch you, right? Because they are going through, it's called sensory processing disorder. So, all of these symptoms taken together, you see some of this happening in your child, you can get that child diagnosed. Get an appointment with CDGC in Leclerc. I think there is a wait list. But it would help and you would get the support that you need from CDGC as well.
And of course, talk a little bit about the age of diagnosis. Is there a point where you can start to diagnose, where it might be a little too early? Speak about that a little bit, if you may.
My son was diagnosed at two
Okay.
years old. That's my younger son. My older one was diagnosed at 4. So, and again, adults can be diagnosed. Look at me.
Right.
So, I would say that some of these symptoms can be seen from 2 years old.
And of course, I suppose that's another big question, because then some people may be saying, well, I have a toddler and, they're doing all sorts of things that perhaps all toddlers do. Some of the things that you were mentioning seem to maybe fall in that.
It's a little worse with an autistic child. Like my daughter, I could not take her to a supermarket without her melting down. And I remember looking at other children who were a year old, walking with their parents and not trying to throw everything off a shelf, or screaming, or throwing themselves down. So it's a little more than just toddler behavior. And as a parent, you feel that something is wrong. And other people will tell you, oh, no, that's just a child being a child. But no, you can feel it. You know in your heart that something is wrong. So we need to follow our instincts and get help. The earlier you get help, the better it is for your child, the better it is for you and for your family.
And Alex, the other thing is that, as I said before, it is a spectrum. So I mentioned all of these symptoms and all these behaviors, but not all autistic people will experience those behaviors.
Right.
I always say one autistic person is different from another. You see one, you just see one. And that's important. And it's important that parents know that there's nothing wrong with your child. Nothing wrong. They just need support. They just think differently.
Now, you did speak, of course, to the matter of language and communication, and that certainly is a major aspect of autism. You want to speak a bit about maybe early interventions? Is it something that, in fact, potentially can be sort of dealt with, or are there beneficial actions towards specialized training very early on?
Very much so. Very much so. And I advocate for early intervention. This is why my 4-year-old, who spoke when he was 2, but he lost words and he stopped speaking, I got him into speech therapy. So now he speaks. And it's ongoing. He's getting other therapies so that he can continue conversing effectively. So it's essential that our children in St. Lucia get help as early as possible. And it would help them to contribute more and to be the best they can be. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Alex. We do not have some of these services in St. Lucia. I think there is one speech therapist in Viewport, and I think there's one in Castries. I'm not sure, but let's just say there's no occupational therapist. A lot of the therapy that the children need, they cannot get in St. Lucia. And if it's there, it's very expensive. So that is what they are dealing with. We need therapists. We need so much support and services in St. Lucia to enable those children to thrive and to be the best they can be.
And would some of these services and therapies be applicable to potentially other persons living with other types of disabilities as well?
Of course, well, definitely. Behavioral therapy is a big one. So there's behavioral therapy not only for autistic individuals, there's behavioral therapy for all persons with disability. So that in itself would help them.
Right, indeed. Now, of course, we don't have very much time left, but I know you have some specific activities happening for International Day for Persons with Disabilities to try to raise awareness and understanding of autism. Maybe you, Susie, might want to tell us about what's happening next week, Wednesday.
Okay, next week, Wednesday, like we said, is International Day for Persons with Disabilities. And we're having this major event where we will have artists from the various schools as well. Some of the special needs schools in like Donata, School for the Blind, the special needs school in Viewport. So Lady Gordon, just to name a few. So we'll have some of the artists performing there as well as normal, typically developing persons as well, other artists. So we have special people with disabilities and people without disabilities who will be performing. Now, we will have our tent there with information about our organization, how to get involved if you want to get involved, and what services we offer. We will also have a sensory tent, and that's for persons who are having issues with the noise, especially autistic children. And that will be manned by the Child Development and Guardian Center. So the tent will be there. There'll be equipment in there that the children can use to help calm them down. Because autistic children do tend to have a sensory overload during events like that, with all the noise, the music, and that sort of thing. So we needed to create a safe space for them to calm down and then go back out and enjoy what's available.
Okay, sounds very, very exciting. And that's happening down at the VA4 Square on Clark Street, VA4. What times again?
It will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Wonderful. Now, Delia, I want to speak a little bit about life with autism beyond childhood, and what are the prospects for persons, autistic adults, especially those who may be severely autistic?
And we're talking about it relative to St. Lucia.
In St. Lucia, yes,
Well,
yes.
that is the thing, Carlos. There are no services for autistic adults in St. Lucia. I know quite a few parents who have the autistic adults at home. There's nowhere to bring them where they can get some activities that they can be involved in. This is something that we have actually been speaking to the Ministry for Persons with Disabilities about, and they have really been supportive, whereby we speak to organizations for hire persons with disabilities, hire autistic persons, give them the necessary accommodations that they need within that environment. So this is something that we are working on. We're also working on getting them the support that they need, getting them into centers where they can be during the day. So
And speak a little bit about, I mean, because we've again, I guess maybe through the film industry and quite often a lot of what we hear out there, the stories of a beautiful mind, and we have an Elon Musk, the world's richest man, being diagnosed as autistic, or quite likely Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein being possibly autistic. Speak to that a little bit about how do we unlock the amazing potential of autistic people?
we can unlock it when we get support. That's the first thing. If you do not get the support to realize your gifts, your abilities, your talents, you cannot thrive. That's the important thing. For me, I never knew that I was autistic, but I loved mathematics. From the time I was a little child, it was just, there was numbers always in my head, right? And so I pursued that through SJC, through A levels, to do right to university and doing a PhD. And I got the support from my parents. They didn't know I was autistic, but I got the support. So it's important that if the support is not there, you'll not be able to realize the gifts and talents, even though you are not talented in other places. But tap on what you are good at. And yes,
And
there's
your thoughts as well, Susie, in terms of how you would like to see those gifts, those talents that persons living with autism could be potentially unlocked.
I think one of the things that I would like to see happen when we do find those persons with those special gifts, that we can showcase them, that we can use those gifts for the betterment of society, because these people can be useful for a number of activities and a number of things that we have in society, so that they can help create a better St. Lucia.
And of course, the acceptance that people, regardless of whether they may have any kind of special talents or not, that they still have a contribution and a place in society.
Exactly. And I need people to understand that not all autistic children have these amazing talents. They have different talents.
Right.
And we have to find a way where we can use any talents that we have, whether someone is autistic or not.
Exactly.
So, but especially in this case with autism.
Wonderful. And if Odelia, you wanted to jump in?
Yes, I just wanted to say one thing when you had asked Susie about the activities. One of the things that I wanted to mention that Harper is doing, that we are organizing now, is a sensory-friendly carnival experience for autistic individuals to help them to feel included, because they cannot jump, with all of the noise. So we are trying to come up with a carnival band for autistic individuals, as well as other activities surrounding that idea. So Carnival Social, meet and greet parents with autistic, come and meet other parents with autistic individuals so that they can see they are not alone. And we are open if there are any parents, advocates who want to join HAPA, feel free to get in touch with us.
And I mean, you're on social media. How can they go about doing that? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
Definitely on Facebook. You can get the numbers on Facebook and reach out to us.
And right now, what's membership like in terms of it? Are you seeing lots of interest in persons coming on?
Mainly with parents.
With parents.
Parents
yes.
and a few of the teachers have joined us.
Okay. Wonderful. It has been a very, very rich conversation. I know we still have a lot more to discuss. But of course, this is an open platform for Harper, if you want to ever come back and tell us about the work that you're doing. And hopefully, yeah, we can see some advancement in the cause of supporting persons with autism here in St. Lucia. Ladies, any final parting words from you?
Yes, we will definitely be back because we still have a lot to say and a lot to do with Harper, and we're hoping that the public takes note.
Wonderful. And you, Delia?
Thank you for having me here, Calix. And I want to tell the public, just treat autistic individuals with understanding, with love, empathy, and support. And I want to tell the parents that they are not alone. I know it's a challenging journey, but they can do this and that they are enough.
Indeed, indeed. Thanks very much for those words, ladies. And of course, we've been speaking with Delia Samuel and Susie Hall Fontaine of the Helen Association for Persons with Autism. And of course, they are part of the celebration of International Day for Persons with Disabilities. That's happening down in, well, here in St. Lucia, the celebration is going to be on Vieux between 10 and 2 on Wednesday, December the 3rd. So we do hope that as many persons can mark it. And of course, do some research and reading up about autism, about disability, and also making a difference, of course, as well, and showing empathy in your day-to-day interactions. Have a good one, and we'll be back again tomorrow, God willing, for another program.